Juwan next to Don.
Send my STEEZ know what going on. Yes, Lord.
Then bring y'all post-game review. Port Adelaide Power versus St. Kilda Saints.
At the Adelaide Oval.
Yeah. So coming into this game, I took Port. I definitely thought Port was the better team. They got a better list. They've been more consistent. They finished higher on the ladder every time since I've been watching. So I definitely just thought Port was the better team all around. Saints do put up good fights. I will say this was a good fight. This was an entertaining game, back and forth. Maybe not a ding-dong affair, but it was never out of Saints' reach. So it was very interesting. But hey, yeah, what was your thoughts coming in?
Coming in for me personally, I've been waiting to see. So between the two teams, I've been kind of disappointed with where the Saints have been. I do think, even though they are more at the bottom end of the ladder, I think they've played better than their record shows. Just given that it hasn't been effort based while they've been completely trash. And I think their system is effective when it does work. I think Port has been one of the better teams on the season for sure. I think that they have been playing down to their competition though, or they just left a lot of points on the board, multiple games, and then they dropped the game against Collingwood where they kind of just left that door open. So I kind of been wondering, have there been cracks going on with Port, or what the case is with them? But I do recognize that Port, when they get going and when they're at their top end, I think the Saints really can't mess with them at all. So I came in thinking that it could be a potential blowout, but I didn't feel comfortable just tipping either team, so I did go with Port just because of the home field advantage.
Yeah. So getting into the game itself, man. First quarter, Port was looking kind of shit actually. Coming into the game, they just wasn't kicking any goals. The accuracy was pretty terrible, if you don't mind. And the Saints were keeping up with them, really just because Port wasn't kicking straight. I think at one point Port had like 1 goal and 6 behinds to Saints 1 goal, 1 behind, and yeah, it was like it definitely felt like if Port were accurate, they would have ran away with it. They definitely had more chances, more opportunities, more inside 50s, just better control of the ball in general than the Saints, but they just wasn't capitalizing on their opportunities, especially in the first. Kind of continued throughout the game, but I guess they did enough. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? So for me in the first quarter, I do think Port was just to mirror what you were saying, Port was pretty inaccurate. But saying that, they did give themselves opportunities. And I think there was some things that I think they did do well. I think they forced turnovers in the front half, and that was really the theme of Port's night all night, pretty much forcing turnovers in the defensive half of the Saints. But they weren't about to getting the bang for the buck. I do think so. They could have ran over the top of the Saints and probably got over, demoralized the whole team just with an early lead and probably stayed on top. But they left the door open for the Saints. But the Saints, even though they weren't having as many opportunities, I think they were more efficient going inside 50. Granted, they didn't give themselves as many opportunities, like I said, but I think they did decent with ball movement though in the beginning too. I like their ball movement better than Port's, because Port's kind of seemed like it was more frenetic and let's just keep moving the ball, where the Saints kind of were calculated, but they kept turning it over too at the same time. I think the Saints did an even better job though with the turnovers and stuff in the second quarter. They looked more clean, and they Ross Lyon might have gotten into them and had a message for them, just be like, bro, y'all turning the ball over too much, we can't do this, and stay competitive, even though they are a team that gives good effort.
Yeah. Saints was getting that talk. The Power was getting the kick straight talk, because coming into the second, they definitely started kicking a lot more accurately. Mm-hmm. I think Willie Rioli, whatever we're calling him now, probably still Junior, I don't know. Uh, but he had very, very, let's just say some individual brilliance, if you don't mind. He fell with the ball, got up, sold some candy, danced around another guy. It was just some shit that I thought he was going to bring to West Coast. And he's out here bringing it to a whole other team. So I knew he had it in him. Just thought it would be a first, but shit. West Coast, we up, so fuck them anyway. But hell yeah, second quarter was much more of a stalemate. Both teams kind of figuring each other out. It was just, it was one of those stabilizer quarters.
Which team can make their adjustments better?
Right. And I think it came out pretty evenly matched because coming into the halftime, I think it was a very close game coming into half. I can't remember exactly what the score was, but it was less than a goal. Second half, I did think Port was in trouble, not because how they were playing, but more because all the injuries they were encountering. Sam Paul Pepper went down, Alir went down with concussion, Connor Rosie had hamstrings, and then fucking Darcy Burns-Jones, something wrong with him. All this going on. I definitely thought Saints would have had, the window. I just saw the door opening for the Saints to sneak in and win this game, but Port just held on. Never gave up the lead really in the second half. Well, they did. It was a ding-dong affair for a little bit, but Power just took control despite the injuries and, rolled the lead out to the final buzzer, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So, and not to make it one sided either. The Saints had injuries too. They had Rowan Marshall, their ruck, who had an injury I think that was the first injury of the game actually. And later on in the game, Jack still had his knee strapped up, which he didn't look to be as effective as he has been in really the form that he's been in most of the season. And I think he is a driving force behind that midfield and for the Saints to be able to do, to compete how they want to. But just to run the third quarter, in the beginning of the third quarter was mostly the Saints. I think they started winning out of the center. You've seen a couple just center bounces that they win and turn those into some quick strikes for some goals. And before the Connor Rosie injury, Port did start. They really just straightened up their contest work, and they were just aggressive, and they started winning. And Connor Rosie was one of the main driving forces behind it, also with Zach Butters as well. And whenever both of them get going, it's just trouble for anybody in the comp to be able to stop that. And then toward the end, middle to the end, Connor Rosie got hurt. And yeah, really just to end the third quarter, Port just had momentum. They were just going inside 50. I think they had the last 5 inside 50s of the quarter. And I think the marked inside 50 were really one of the big differences in the game. The key forwards for Port were just too much. They were drawing free kicks, bro. Just Dixon, Marshall, Georgiades, Mitch. So Charlie Dixon mainly, though, he was just giving the whole back line problems for the Saints, and I don't think they have anybody that can really stop him. Yeah, 4.5 intercepts and free kicks and big key forwards really the main difference, I think, with this.
Okay, yeah. I do think this game went how it was supposed to go. I do think Port's going to finish higher on the ladder. I think Port's a finals team. I don't know if Saints are yet. So, there you have it. Anything else?
No, Lord.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube shit. We do be live, but no more from round 7 more than likely because we're going to be out playing our own game. So look forward to footage from that. Other than that, hell yeah. Catch y'all.
Catch y'all.